Okay, so I am an online coach and I regularly work with men that have some pretty serious injuries. Most part I work with grapplers who take part in a combat sport, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in particular, and I am able to help these blokes get over injuries in a very short time frame. And one of the main reasons I'm able to do that is because I instill in all of my one-to-one clients very important fundamental mindset beliefs. Because the tactics, yes, they come and go. You know, every good coach has certain tactics, but it's not what we're massive on our program. The mindset is the most important thing. The specific nitty gritty things are often not even that important, right? So my intention with you watching this video, I hope that you leave this video a lot more open-minded about these mindsets, and hopefully going to send you on your way with some actionable steps, because the specificity and the certain tactics aren't going to be the things that help you. It's going to be the mindset which opens up all of these doors that you never even thought existed, right? So hopefully you look forward to that. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green. As you can see, I've worked for all these blokes here. Runner's knee. He had a pain in his knee for years. Now he's moving full range of motion. LCL tear to full knee bend pain free. Another runner's knee variation. ACL tear, MCL tear. We've got weak and stiff knees, MCL tear. We've got shoulder stuff on the other side. I could talk about this stuff for ages, right? But when I think about an injury and when I'm teaching these blokes how to overcome these injuries, it doesn't even make a difference what I do with a knee, what I do with the shoulder, what I do with a nerve damage. The process remains the same, and it's so important that you understand it's the mindset that unlocks the doors to this process. I'm not a genius, I'm not a miracle worker. Do you know what I mean? It's just I've seen what has the most impact, and I'm hoping to just push that out there to use in videos on YouTube every day. If you enjoy them, subscribe to the channel. If you want to be coached by me on a one-to-one basis, the link is down below in the description. Right, let's get cracking. Okay, make myself a little bit smaller. Right. I get these results all the time, not because I have the best tactics, not because I have the best secrets or the best hacks. I'm willing to put my tactics on YouTube because I know for a fact that with all my one-on-one clients, I'm doing the nitty-gritty work on their mindset and on their character, which opens up all these doors, right? I'm more than happy to tell you the tactics. The only way I can develop the character required to get through these hurdles for the rest of your life is if you work with me on a one-to-one basis. I try and do the character stuff on these videos, you know, as often as I can. However, it's not specific to you. So anyway, I don't have the secrets. Do you know what I mean? I'm pushing them out every day. It's not about the tactics because, you know, acupuncture, medication, stem cell surgery, all of these tactics, you can bounce around from each one, right? But it's the underlying character, it's the underlying limiting beliefs, it's your mindset that holds you back. You're constantly getting in your own way, right? So I'm not saying here that I have the best tactics. I just know what has the most impact, which is when we address the mindset, because a lot of people are holding themselves back with regards to all of this stuff. And an injury is a perfect example of that, by the way. Perfect example, because everybody seems to lose the plot when emotions are high. Okay, so talked about it. Character, addressing the mindset first. Your current beliefs are what are holding yourself back, not the lack of a certain magic exercise, whether that's massage, acupuncture, whether it's chiropractic solutions, all of these little nice things, right? Crazy how you can literally dance around 10 different methodologies with one injury. It might get better, it might not. Spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and then, you know, maybe the injury goes away, maybe it doesn't. But then what if another injury happens? You will then dance around all the same things for the next thing. If you sort this character out, sort the mindsets out, your life will change. It will not matter what injuries you have, because you'll be like, okay, this is the process to sorting this out. And it's almost like you become, you don't become as emotionally affected by injuries. You just shrug your shoulders, smile, and be like, right, okay, I just need to work on this area. And that's a very, very, it's a very liberating mindset to have, and it's a very liberating way to live your life, because it's very free and you never fear an injury at that point. Do you know what I mean? Because you know what to do, because you are the character that can just absorb this like another way to grow. Do you know what I mean? So fix the mindset and these problems will always be easy to overcome. So when I say these mindsets, I want you to think about if there's time in the past when you have actually had these mindsets and these beliefs, and feel free to drop them in the comments below, because it'd be cool to see just how common you have been held back by these mindsets. Do you know what I mean? So let's get cracking on to the first one. So, delivery of this video. As always on this channel, we do talk about the mindset, because the mindset's the most powerful thing. The mindset is not what the physios are willing to do in their busy clinics. They'll give you the exercises as the physical solutions. However, they're not going to give you the limiting beliefs about training through pain a little bit, and having a structure, not having certain beliefs in which impede you getting stronger. Do you know what I mean? Like, they haven't got the time to be doing that, and thankfully I do, because I do this for a living. Right. Mindset required. How I view and solve these problems daily with clients. Tactics in which I employ with those clients on my one-on-one program. So mindset number 1. Do not do anything that reduces blood flow. You couldn't do anything worse to your strength gains than to impede your body's natural healing process, right? Reduce blood flow, you reduce strength gain, you reduce repair, regeneration. It's the worst thing to do, and I strongly tell my clients whenever they get injured to never ever take painkillers or anti-inflammatories. However, there is one exception to this rule. If it affects their sleep, then I will allow it. I will say, okay, if it's affecting your sleep, sleep is so important, right? So that's the only disclaimer, right, to this rule, is if it is having a huge knock-on effect to your sleep. So make sure that you do not do anything that reduces blood flow. This means ice, this means anti-inflammatory medication, this means compression gear, this means elevation, all of this stuff. Don't do it, because it's gonna basically interrupt with your body's ability to get the most from training sessions. I'm going to make my head a little bit bigger, just so you can see how passionate I am about this subject. Mindset number 2, right? I'm just going to move my little thing up. Use logic and lots of it, right? And this is so important, because when we have an injury, or when we have a weak area, or when our joints are stiff and sore from whatever our endeavour is, whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whether it's motocross, whether it's mountain biking, whether it's rock climbing, when emotions are high because there is pain involved, right, and there's fear involved, two fucking really motivating emotions, when they are high, fear of making it worse, fear of making it worse, but then there's the fear of, it's just an absolute hassle. The fear of the limitation of the function. Emotions are high, right? It's so important that we use logic, because us as men cannot handle this shit. When we start being emotional, we lose the plot, right? So we have to use logic. And what I mean by this is numbers, data, right? Because it's important that we use the emotions in order to, right, okay, the emotions and the fear and hesitation, okay, that is a warning sign. We need to also train through that logically, in a logical, strategic manner. So do not be guided by your emotions. Be guided by the data, right? And specifically, what I want you to do is I want you to track symptoms. So what I like to do with my clients is a 1 to 10 scale. 1 being no pain, 10 being, a lot of pain, like agony, right? Track strength progress. So that is how much weight you've lifted, and how many repetitions you've done, what exercise. And track technique as well. And this is, again, when I'm saying these, I'd love for you to mention in the comments below if you're not doing this, if you've never done this before. So rather than be guided by your emotions and think, oh, I'm hesitating because I'm scared because the doctor said this, the physiotherapist says this, the physical therapist said this, the news says this, the government says this. Rather than be guided by emotions, have you ever chose this as your foundation? Track the symptoms on a scale of 1 to 10. Track your strength progress and track your technical progress by movement videos. So you literally video yourself. You get your phone out, prop it on a water ball, and you do the movement, and you're like, okay, well, I could only go halfway down for them first 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden you're going all the way down, but you're tracking your symptoms. So you're looking at each week, and you're like, right, my symptoms was a 6 out of 10. Did it reduce to a 5 out of 10? Is it now a 3 or a 2? So you're making improvements, and you've got the data there to guide your motivation to push further, rather than a roller coaster of emotions. I'm scared, I'm hesitant, I don't want to make it worse, the doctor said this, the news said this, the government said this. Hopefully that all makes sense, right? So it's a bit of a mindset shift. Very important one, because there is absolutely no way you can get around this. This is so important to what we do on our program, and it's one of the main reasons we get amazing results with guys who have been injured for ages, like years, decades. Mindset number 3, scans and imaging aren't as useful as you think, right? They may reveal things that you didn't expect. Increasing your emotion, increasing, fear, again, increasing hesitance, and increasing your perceived dependence on the system. So I read a study a few months ago, and it basically said there is a lot of people without any symptoms, without any loss of function, that come back with scans that show that they're injured. And it's like, well, I went in for a scan on, let's say, my meniscus, and it came back and said that I had a torn ACL. And you will start panicking, and it'll be like, oh my God, my ACL. Then you're going to get referred to a specialist, and it's going to be like, right, we'll just do a little bit of work here and there. You're panicking because your meniscus might have not even been torn, it might have been something else, or the imaging might have shown multiple tears all over the place, and you're like, oh my God. Now, wouldn't that be a little bit naughty if the system actually profited from your dependence on it? More hours a physiotherapist bought, more hours trying to rehab the issue. Listen, number 3, right, as I say, basically, scans and imaging are as useful as you think, right? And it's not even about that. It's the concept of this, right? The concept of what I'm saying. The specifics of what is wrong doesn't actually matter. That's the point I'm making here, right? It doesn't matter what muscle, it doesn't matter what ligament, it doesn't actually matter. None of it matters. The specifics do not matter. And I'm going to go on to why in the actionables shortly, but I just want you to appreciate that the specifics don't matter. There's about fucking 206 muscles in the body. You can't even pronounce half of them. Why does it matter what little muscle is torn? What actually matters is what function is it causing you the biggest issue? How is it hurting? Yes. What function is these symptoms being brought on by doing? So accept that you deserve to be in this position, right? Take full responsibility for it and use it as a period to learn the absolute maximum. The sooner you point the finger at yourself in this scenario, rather than pointing your finger at somebody that might have injured you, or pointing your finger at your genetics or your age or that unfortunate circumstance that happened, at the end of the day, the reason you're in this situation is on you. Do you know what I mean? So embrace this and make the most of it. Use it as a lesson to not only strengthen that bad, weak joint. Use it as a lesson to use these mindsets to push through the strength of that joint, but also the rest of the joints. Use it as a chance to completely reset your thinking, because this is not a battle. It's not a physical battle. It's a psychological battle. And once you overcome this properly, honestly, everything that comes up, any physical, injury or anything like that comes up in the future it'll be an absolute doddle to deal with. Because these mindsets are now part of your DNA, right? So on this channel, we always talk about the mindsets, right? Because we believe it to be the most powerful. And I can literally say it's the most powerful stuff we do in our one-to-one program. Because it has the most impact to people's lives. Right. So I'm going to talk about a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt who jumped on my program 4 or 5 months ago, right? I'm going to put the sound on, actually. So watch. Day one, I got him to do something called a shoulder functions test, right? And he does a bunch of different movements on his shoulder. This is how he did the movements. It's not going to let me put the sound on. Anyway, he's talking about his symptoms here. But watch. His shoulder just locks in the air, right? And he's saying now it's about a 7 out of 10 pain. So, see physical discomfort, and he's explaining, he's like, I can't actually get it down now without getting my finger in there and just clicking that down. So, one sec. I'll just put this on pause again. I'll make myself a bit bigger. He's told me the symptom, and he's shown me the function of his shoulder which brings on that symptom. That's what I need you to understand from that. I, as his coach, don't need to know the specific muscle that's been done. I don't need him to send him to imaging. I don't need him to get a scan to find out exactly what muscle or ligament is torn. I don't need to know that information, because all I need to know is when the symptom comes on, and that's it. Like, what function of that joint is bringing on that symptom, because that is the start point. That is the path to your strengthening of that joint. Hopefully you appreciate that. If you don't, again, message me in the comments. Make myself smaller. Okay, so we're getting into the actionables now, gentlemen. So actionable point number 1. Yay, stoppage. Okay, so we need to find out what function causes the pain, right? And you've got 2 complicated joints in the body, pretty much. You've got your shoulder and your hip. Find out what function causes the pain. It's basically how you move that joint, right? Function's a fancy science word, but how you move that joint that brings on that pain. That's what you need to find out, right? Shoulder, hip, 2 fairly complicated joints, some would say. However, doesn't really matter. Your back is another complicated joint. Remember, when I'm talking here about the shoulder, right? I want you to think, and I want you to think conceptually about what I'm saying. What function causes the pain, right? I want you to do these 3 phases of identifying. Identify the exact location of the pain, rated out of 10. Identify the exact joint function that brings on the pain. Look at this. Elbow, you've only got 2 functions of the elbow. Flexion, extension. It's the same with the knee. That's the easiest joint ever, and they're probably one of the most injured in grappling. And then the next layer, which gives you a proper level of specificity, is identify the exact joint angle that brings on that pain. So, yes, this function might hurt. However, it might only hurt here. Do you know what I mean? So, 3 layers of identification. This is what I'm able to coach people through injuries, get their joints strong as fuck. And I don't even see them in person. I don't need to put my hands on them. I don't need to do acupuncture. I don't need to see a scan. It's because I understand this process and I teach them this mindset. It's so important, right? And once you can do this, you will be able to overcome your own injuries and your own personal physical battles, especially with your joints, as fast as possible. It's honestly, I literally couldn't teach you on YouTube anything more powerful, right? So, anyway, again, I'm going to give you my shoulder functions test here that I do with all my clients if they've got a shoulder injury. Listen, what I want you to understand is that because I work with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athletes, they sometimes randomly give me a message on a morning and they say, look, Greenie, I'm fucking injured. Some guy did this happened. And I'm like, send me a picture pointing where the pain is, do this functions test, and then get back to me with this stuff. This is what I get them to do. And this is what you should do with your own injuries as well, whether it's your shoulder, your elbow, your knee, your lower back, right? Do a little bit of joint function test. Move your joint through its all of its ranges of motion. So you just circles, flexion, and all of these for the brown belt on the previous slide were absolute fine. Extension was fine as well. It's just when he went into that, it locked, and he was like 7 out of 10 pain. So you can see I'm going through the motions, and again I have these for each joint. But again, think conceptually about what I'm saying. This is just a shoulder example. Don't get too specific and fixated on the shoulder. It doesn't matter. What matters is the mindset in which these tactics are unlocked by. Confidence, using the location of the pain, the exact joint function and the exact joint angle to guide the next part of your training. External rotation, you get the idea, right? So again, this is the video where I'm going to rush over the tactics because the mindset's way more important. So just move this out of the way. So actionable point number 2, find the baseline. So you've now identified the joint angle, the exact location of the pain, you point to it, yeah, happy days. It only hurts when I do this, when I rotate, do you know what I mean? And you're like, cool. So then do that movement, the exact movement, obviously within these boundaries, 4 or less out of 10 pain, do it 3 or 5 times per week. Now, be honest, the previous version of yourself will have avoided training that area because it hurts. I'm telling you, it hurts because there's a little bit of inflammation. Inflammation will promote healing. Without inflammation, you don't get stronger, you don't get rid of it. And like I say, this won't work if you're still hanging on to the old mindset, thinking that I'm absolutely crazy. And that's why I do what I do, because, you know, deep down, I actually like proving you's wrong. And yeah, it will work when you see the results. And the turnaround, you feeling the results, will be extremely quickly if you do this stuff properly. I swear to God, it'll be extremely quickly. It'll be the biggest quick fix you've ever had in your life. However, that comes at a cost, because you will get the quick results. You'll become pain-free so quickly that you will feel superhuman. And you haven't got strong at the end of the day, which means that a reoccurring injury is extremely likely. You need to use these points of your life as a huge learning curve where you start to up your standards, because if you don't, you're going to make the stupid mistakes again. You're going to be back with a shoulder injury again because you didn't do the strength work after you got rid of the pain. You didn't do the resilience work after you got the pain. After you got strong. Crucial that you understand that this won't work if you're still hanging into the old mindsets. Use the symptoms as a guide, then logic, lots of it. Track symptoms, track strength progress, and track technique. Obviously, that's the mindset that I mentioned before, but it's important that I just highlight that again, because you go off on a tangent with a shoulder functions test, going, hey, these are going to work, it's going to fix my shoulder. Doesn't matter, because what happens if your knee goes in a couple of weeks' time? The mindset's the foundation. It's not about tactics, it's about the mindset. Right, I've talked about this, right? If I'm able to help men overcome some serious injuries easily, you can do this to yourself easily. It's not like there's enough knowledge on the internet, right? The problem is you're getting in your own way. It's because either you've got the coaching side of the fear of the coach. So most coaches nowadays don't give this advice, because they're scared to potentially make an injury worse. I do this on a regular basis. I'm not scared to give real advice. And you've got the people that are actually doing the stuff, the programming, they're actually scared to do it as well. And not many people, I can say this with absolute certainty, not many people on YouTube are talking about the mindset behind all this stuff. Listen, if I can sit here and help people with their injuries, I've got the proof, I've shown you the proof. There is no excuses why you can't help yourself. Do you know what I mean? But again, I'm here for you anyway. If you do want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, click the link in the description. We can jump on a call together. We can talk about your situation, and we can talk about whether you're eligible for the longevity program. But bear in mind, this is how we do business. If it is something that you do think would be useful in your life, then absolutely we can have that discussion. Just to summarise then, mindset first. You deserve to be in this position. Don't point the finger. The moment you point the finger, you outsource the amount in which you can learn from the situation. you kind of say, it's not my fault. There is nothing I can learn from this situation to develop myself. It's terrible crack. It honestly is proper shit crack. Like, you shouldn't be thinking like that. Identify the function and the pain rating out of 10. How do I move my joint which causes the pain? And how much pain is that out of 10? Train the problematic function 3 to 5 times per week. And that's just a start point. At the start, you can do it 3 to 5 times a week. Then you can increase it. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, it's not a physical problem, it's a character problem. You have let your joints get in absolute tatters and now you are suffering for it. Most important thing, most of you will watch this video, and when the pain goes away, you will sail off into the sunset thinking you're an absolute legend. Don't stop when the pain disappears. That's proof of concept. If the pain disappears, that means you got stronger. Why would you stop getting stronger? Use this as a kick up the arse to train the rest of your joints as well. Again, exactly what we do in the longevity program. We strengthen your weakest joints. We prioritize the strengthening of your weakest joints while we're strengthening the rest of the joints as well. Strong joints, great life. And it doesn't just end because you do this for the rest of your life. Use this as a wake-up call. Use it or lose it. See you tomorrow.